Welcome to Reddit Reveals. Listen along, enjoy the ride, and drop a comment later. Even a short one means more than you think. The worst part? I wasn't even supposed to be there. My GPS rerouted me because of some wreck on the interstate. And I ended up downtown, stuck in traffic, right in front of that stupid rooftop bar she swore she hated. And then I saw her, on the balcony, laughing. I was mid-call with my boss, half listening about some firewall issue, when my eyes caught her, my wife, standing with some guy I'd never seen before, holding a drink in one hand and his hand in the other, like it was the most natural thing in the world. The call dropped. I didn't even notice. My brain glitched out. I stared at her like I'd seen a ghost. She was wearing the blue dress I bought her last Christmas, the one she said didn't fit right. Hair down, heels on, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. She leaned into him and touched his shoulder while she laughed. Full laugh, head tilted back. She used to do that with me. I pulled into a parking spot without thinking. No plan. No backup. No clue what I was about to walk into. I just knew if I didn't go up there, I'd sit in that car all night wondering. Quick thing, before I keep going, tell me where you're watching from. Curious how far this kind of thing spreads. The hostess barely looked at me when I walked in. I told her I was meeting someone. She waved me toward the elevator. By the time I got to the rooftop, I could already feel it in my chest. My hands were shaking, but I kept walking. There was music playing, some throwback R&B track that made the whole place feel like a memory I didn't want to remember. I spotted them in the corner by the railing. She was still holding his hand. I could have turned back, could have spared myself, but I didn't. I pulled the ring box from my jacket. It had been there for 2 weeks. I was going to give it to her on our anniversary. I'd even gotten it resized. I told myself we were just going through a phase, that if I tried harder, she'd meet me halfway. I walked up to their table. Neither of them noticed me at first, not until I placed the box on the table, right between their joined hands. She looked up, froze. The guy pulled his hand back slowly, like I'd caught them stealing. She didn't say a word. I didn't either. I just walked away. I didn't go home right after. I drove around aimlessly for almost 2 hours, stopping at random gas stations, parking lots, even sat in front of a grocery store with the engine running and no idea why I was there. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept hearing that little metal click of the ring box as I set it down. Over and over, I didn't want to go home, but I needed answers. And I needed to see if she'd actually try to lie to my face. When I finally walked in the door, the house was dark. Her car was in the driveway, which meant she'd gotten home before me. I stood in the entryway for a minute, listening. Nothing. Not even the TV on. The kind of silence that feels planned. I dropped my keys and bag on the kitchen counter louder than I needed to, just to see if she'd come out. She didn't. So I walked to the bedroom. And there she was, Lena, curled up on the bed, scrolling her phone like she hadn't just had another man's hand in hers less than 3 hours ago. "Oh, hey," she said without looking up, like I'd come back from the store. "You were working late?" That was her first lie, and she didn't even flinch. I stared at her, waiting for something. Guilt? Panic? Anything. But she just yawned and kept tapping her phone screen. I walked around to her side of the bed and stood there until she finally looked at me. "What?" she said, like I was the problem. "Did you forget milk or something?" I asked her. "Where were you tonight?" She blinked once. "What do you mean?" "Where were you, Lena?" She gave the softest, fakest laugh I've ever heard. "Are you serious?" "I told you. Jenna's baby shower meeting. We were at her sister's place planning stuff." Second lie, she committed to it hard. Full eye contact now. Like she could force it to be true. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo. Just one shot I snapped from behind a potted plant on the rooftop. Blurry, but clear enough. Her hand in his, her smile, him leaning in like he knew her mouth already. Her face went blank. No tears, no gasp. Just this shift, like something turned off behind her eyes. "You followed me?" she said. That was her defense, not, "I'm sorry," not, "let me explain," not even a denial. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. She sat up slowly, brushing her hair behind her ear, calm as ever. "You shouldn't have done that," she said. That's when I realized she wasn't just sorry I found out. She was mad I caught her, like I broke some kind of rule. I asked her how long it had been going on. She shrugged. "Few months, maybe," she said, like she was guessing. "I don't know, Brian. It wasn't planned. He just gets me." That line hit me harder than the picture. He gets me. As if 7 years together meant nothing. As if I'd just been her emotional landlord until someone better moved in. I stood there, trying not to lose it. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just said, "I was going to re-propose to you." Her lip twitched like she wanted to feel bad, but she didn't. "Maybe that's part of the problem," she said quietly. "You always think doing something nice fixes everything." She laid back down, turned her back to me. That was it. She turned her back to me. Like I wasn't even worth the breakup conversation. I walked out and closed the door behind me. That time, I didn't drive aimlessly. I knew exactly where I was going. My brother's basement couch. I barely slept that night. My brother's basement was cold and smelled like laundry detergent and cat food, but I couldn't even blame the couch. My brain was spinning so fast, it was like I was stuck in a loop. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face when I set the ring down. Like she was embarrassed, but not sorry. Like I'd ruined her moment. In the morning, my brother Dave knocked once and walked in holding a mug of coffee. He didn't ask questions, didn't press, just handed it over and sat down across from me. "She cheat?" he finally asked after a few long seconds. I nodded. "Want me to slash her tires or something?" I almost laughed, which was the first time I felt anything close to normal in 12 hours. "No," I said. "I'm not even mad. I just feel stupid." Dave leaned back. "You want stupid. I married a girl who thought crystals could heal debt. This isn't stupid, man. This is betrayal." He was right, but I still couldn't feel angry yet. It was like I was standing outside my own life watching someone else get humiliated. Later that afternoon, I finally got the nerve to open her iPad. She'd left it synced to her messages. I'd never looked through her stuff before, not once in 7 years. And now, within 5 minutes, I was scrolling through months of her conversations with him. His name was Owen. I recognized the name from her office. He worked in another department, married apparently, with 2 kids. And still, the things he said to her made my stomach turn. Pet names, inside jokes, photos, and not just the kind you think. Pictures of coffee mugs, sweaters, little things from their day, like they were building a life together in the shadows. But the worst part? She told him everything about me. My insecurities, my work hours, my failed plans to fix our marriage. She sent him a picture of the ring when I first bought it. Said I was trying to be sweet again, but she wasn't feeling it. She laughed at me, behind my back, with him. That's when I felt it. Not anger, not grief, pure humiliation. Like I'd been the last person in the world to get the joke. She even messaged him that morning. He's still trying. He doesn't see it yet. I wanted to break the iPad in half. Instead, I screenshot everything, all of it. I sent it to myself. Every conversation, every photo. I didn't know what I'd do with it, but I couldn't let it disappear. I didn't respond to her texts. She sent 3 that day. First, "Can we talk?" Then, "I didn't mean to hurt you." And finally, "I think we both know this has been coming. This has been coming. Like our marriage was a car crash. she'd been predicting, not causing. That night, I wrote a letter. Not because I thought it would fix anything, but because I needed her to hear me without cutting me off or twisting it. I poured out everything. The plans I'd made, the moments I forgave, the nights I thought we were reconnecting, when really, she was probably texting him in the bathroom. I printed it out and drove back to our house at midnight. I didn't ring the doorbell, just folded the letter and slid it through the crack in the door, taped the ring box to the outside. I stood there for a second, wondering if she was awake, if she was watching from the upstairs window, but I didn't look back. And as I walked down the driveway, my phone buzzed. It was Owen's wife. She'd seen the screenshots, and she wanted to talk. I didn't reply right away. Her message just said, "Hi, Brian. I think we need to talk. I'm Owen's wife." Nothing else. No punctuation. No emojis. Just cold, plain text that carried 1,000 pounds of weight. My heart started racing the second I read it. I stared at my phone for probably 10 straight minutes, wondering what she knew, how she found me, and what she wanted from me. I finally responded with, "Okay, I'm free now, if you are." She sent back an address, a coffee shop on the east side, not far from where Lena and I used to go on Saturdays. I hesitated. Everything in me said this was too messy. But the curiosity was louder than my hesitation. I wanted to see what she looked like. I wanted to see what he was willing to risk. And yeah, I wanted answers Lena would never give me. I got there 15 minutes later. She was already sitting outside. Medium height, dark hair tied back, glasses, no makeup, worn out hoodie, and a baby monitor sitting on the table. The screen was black, but the battery light blinked red. She looked up at me like she'd been expecting me for years. "Brian?" "Yeah." We didn't shake hands. I sat down across from her, and we just stared at each other for a second. No awkwardness, no small talk. Just mutual devastation hanging between us like fog. "I'm Emily," she finally said. "I found your number in Owen's deleted messages. You sent yourself screenshots, remember? He's not very good at cleaning up after himself." I let out a short breath. I guess I hoped he was married to someone smarter than he is. She didn't smile. "I've known something was off for a while. I just didn't know who the other woman was. Until I saw her." She opened her phone and pulled up a picture. It was Lena and Owen. Same rooftop bar, different night. The angle looked professional. "I hired a PI 3 weeks ago. That's from last Thursday," she said. He kissed her neck. "I watched it happen on video." I swallowed hard, something sharp and bitter rising in my throat. "I caught them a couple nights ago. Gave her the ring I was going to repropose with, dropped it right between their hands." She nodded like she already knew. "She's good. I'll give her that. Smiles in public, doesn't text anything too obvious. Always deletes everything, but not good enough." Emily slid a folder across the table to me. Inside were printed screenshots, dates, times, photos, even a few receipts, hotel stays. One weekend, I thought Lena was visiting her mom. Turns out she was with Owen in a cabin by the lake. "They've been seeing each other since March," Emily said. "That's 9 months. My baby was 3 months old when it started." Something inside me cracked wide open. I thought it had been a few weeks, a rough patch, a mistake even. But 9 months? That meant every time she kissed me goodbye, she already had one foot out the door. Emily leaned forward. "I'm divorcing him. I've already started the process. I want full custody. And I want him to feel every inch of this fall." I just stared at the folder. "I don't even know what I want yet," I said. "Yes, you do," she said calmly. "You just haven't let yourself admit it." We sat in silence for a bit. Two strangers with wrecked homes and nothing left to protect. Before we left, she handed me a flash drive. Everything's on here, in case you need it for court, or just closure. I took it. Not sure why. I wasn't ready for revenge, but I wasn't going to protect Lena anymore either. I got in my car, closed the door, and for the first time since this started, I didn't feel like the dumb husband who didn't see it coming. I felt like the man who was finally done pretending. By the time I got back to the house, I already knew what I had to do, but that didn't make it easier. The flash drive Emily gave me sat in the center console the whole ride, like it was glowing, daring me to use it. My hands were tight on the wheel. My jaw hurt from clenching. But I wasn't going to make a scene. Not yet. I wanted to look her in the eye one more time. I needed to hear what version of reality she'd feed me now that she knew she was caught. It was Sunday. She always made pancakes on Sundays, like we were some perfect domestic couple. And just like always, she did it that morning too. Like nothing happened. I walked in, and the kitchen smelled like syrup and cinnamon, and she turned around with this warm, fake smile, spatula in hand, and said, "Morning. You want yours with blueberries?" I just looked at her. Didn't answer, didn't sit. She tilted her head. "What? You gonna tell me anything?" I asked. Her face twitched for half a second. One flicker of panic before she covered it. "About what?" That was her move. Feign confusion. Pretend I'm overreacting. Stall until she can lie. "Owen," I said. "The cabin, the hotel, the rooftop, all of it." She blinked, and then, incredibly, she sighed like I was exhausting her. She put the spatula down and leaned on the counter like she was preparing for an argument she already knew she'd win. "Brian, I already told you. Nothing happened. We're friends. I know what it looked like, but you're jumping to conclusions." I laughed. Actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane how easy the lie came out of her mouth. "I met his wife," I said. That stopped her cold. She gave me everything. Screenshots, photos, hotel bills, your little lake trip. She has pictures of you two kissing on the deck. Lena's mouth opened, then shut, then opened again. She was scrambling, not to apologize, not to confess, to recover. "She's trying to blow up his life," she said quickly. "She probably faked all that stuff, Photoshop or something. I don't know what you think you saw." I cut her off. "I saw enough. You lied to me every single day for 9 months, and now you're still doing it. Right here. Right now." She stepped toward me, voice softer. "Brian, listen to me. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Things between us have been off for a long time. I didn't know how to talk to you anymore." "Then why didn't you leave?" I snapped. "Why not just tell me it was over? Why stay and sleep in our bed and eat at our table and play wife while cheating behind my back?" She didn't answer. Because there was no answer that wouldn't make her look worse. "I was going to rebuild this with you," I said, my voice breaking more than I wanted it to. "I was going to start fresh. I bought that ring to show you I still believed in us. You were holding his hand when I gave it to you." She closed her eyes like I was the one hurting her. "I'm filing," I said. "Tomorrow." Lena looked up, finally showing some kind of emotion, but it wasn't sadness. It was fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of consequences. "You really think you're going to be the victim in this?" she asked, stepping back. "You really think people are going to feel sorry for you?" I didn't respond. I didn't have to. I turned and walked out of the kitchen, not because I was done feeling, but because there was nothing left worth feeling for. That was the last time I spoke to her inside that house. I filed for divorce the next morning. It was quiet. No drama, no yelling. I just sat across from the attorney, handed over the flash drive, and gave a calm summary of everything I had. Dates, messages, photos. He barely asked any questions. He'd seen worse. But when I told him I still hadn't moved back home, he raised his eyebrows and said, "You'll want to pack your stuff sooner rather than later, before she gets creative." I didn't know what he meant at first. I thought he was just talking about property, furniture, whatever. But later that night, I found out exactly what creative looked like. Lena blew up my phone around 9. Not with apologies, not with begging, but with accusations. Long texts, one after another, claiming I had emotionally manipulated her for years, that I was controlling, cold, and that I had isolated her from her friends and support system. It read like a therapy blog's list of red flags. Half the words didn't even sound like her. It was like she Googled how to build a fake abuse case and copied it line for line. At first I thought it was a bluff, just something to make me feel guilty. But then she posted something on Facebook, a photo of her and Owen, yes, him, in full daylight, smiling like high school sweethearts. The caption read, "Sometimes love finds you in the healing. I'm finally safe, finally seen." I stared at it for a full minute, trying to process the spin. She hadn't just lied. She rewrote the whole narrative. To her friends, to our mutual acquaintances, I wasn't the betrayed husband, I was the toxic ex. The cold one. The man who pushed her away. And worst of all, she had Owen standing beside her, like some kind of savior. Emily called me 20 minutes after the post went up. "She's setting a stage," she said, blunt and clear. "Don't respond online. Not even a sentence. Trust me, I've seen this game before." But it wasn't just online. The next day, I went back to the house to pack. Dave came with me just in case. The front door was unlocked. Lena wasn't home, but everything felt different. Half the pictures of us were missing from the walls. My toothbrush was gone, my side of the bed stripped. It felt like I had already been erased. While I was grabbing boxes from the garage, Dave came out holding a letter. "She left this on the kitchen table," he said, handing it over. It was addressed to her lawyer, unsealed. I read it, and my stomach flipped. She was trying to claim emotional distress, that she'd felt unsafe for months, that she had reason to believe I was monitoring her conversations. She even referenced the day I walked into the rooftop bar, as if I was the one sneaking around, stalking her. "She's building a case," I said, my voice low. Dave nodded. "She's not just trying to win. She wants to destroy you on the way out." I didn't even finish packing that day. I grabbed the essentials, passport, laptop, clothes, and got out. That night, I moved in with Dave permanently. Changed my number, killed all social media. My lawyer filed for a temporary order, blocking her from touching any joint assets. It was war now. But what really hit me wasn't the legal stuff. It was that she actually believed her version. Somewhere in that twisted mind of hers, she'd convinced herself that cheating was self-defense, that I was the reason she stepped out, that she was the victim. And the worst part? People believed her. I didn't fight her lies publicly. Not online, not in messages, not even with mutual friends. I stayed completely silent because I wanted her to feel bold, comfortable, like she'd already won. And the more confident she got, the sloppier she became. While she played the broken woman on Facebook and clung to Owen like he was her fresh start, I worked with my attorney and quietly collected everything. The emails she sent from our shared laptop, the receipts, the timeline of hotel stays that overlapped perfectly with dates she told me she was at work retreats or girls' weekends. I had GPS data from our shared car app showing it parked outside his place overnight. I even got statements from neighbors who saw him dropping her off late at night when she said she was Ubering from book club. But that wasn't the big one. The big one came from Emily. She sent me an audio file one night, said she wasn't supposed to have it. But Owen, brilliant genius that he was, had synced his phone to their home assistant. The thing recorded random voice clips from inside their kitchen when it thought it heard the wake word. This clip was from a night about 2 weeks before I caught them. Owen and Lena were talking in his kitchen. He was worried about getting caught, and Lena said, clear as day, "Don't worry. Brian still thinks I'm trying to work on things. He's even looking at new rings. I've got him exactly where I need him." That was it. The moment that broke me completely. I'd already accepted the betrayal, the lies, the spin. But hearing her use me, actually say I was just a pawn in her little affair strategy, that flipped a switch in me I didn't know I had. And I didn't just want a divorce anymore. I wanted the truth to burn. So we waited. My lawyer said we'd do nothing until she made her next move, and she did exactly what we expected. She filed her response to the divorce, painting me as emotionally distant and subtly aggressive. Said she feared for her mental well-being in our home. It was all smoke, no real substance, but just enough to make her look like the hurt party to people who didn't know better. That's when we dropped everything. All at once. My lawyer filed a full countersuit with every shred of documented proof attached. Messages, timestamps, location logs, the audio file, and a statement from Emily verifying Lena's role in the affair, and her attempt to cover it up. We didn't just show that she'd cheated. We showed that she planned it, maintained it, and tried to weaponize a false narrative to gain leverage in court. But what really hit her was the financial angle. See, I'd paid for nearly everything during our marriage. Her car, her phone, her school loans. I never complained. I just handled it. And now, since she'd abandoned the marriage for an affair and tried to slander me in the process, the court saw that as grounds for denying her any spousal support. She walked into that courtroom thinking she'd play victim. She walked out with nothing. No alimony, no house, no car, since it was in my name. Her lawyer tried to negotiate last-minute deals, but we didn't budge. The judge wasn't impressed by her dramatics once the facts were laid out. She wasn't just the one who cheated. She was the one who tried to turn her affair into a payout. When the judgment was final, she stormed out without a word. No apology, no tears. Just pure, stunned silence. But it wasn't over yet. Because one more truth was about to drop. And this one wasn't mine to deliver. About a month after the divorce was finalized, I was finally sleeping again. Real sleep. The kind where you wake up without that punch of anxiety in your chest. I wasn't drinking every night to numb it. I wasn't replaying her voice in my head. I was out. Free. And for once, I actually felt like I'd survived something, instead of just crawling through it. Lena, though, not so lucky. See, consequences have long memories. You don't always see it coming. Sometimes it builds up quietly, step by step, waiting for just the right moment to crash through everything. And in her case, it came wearing a business suit and a custody agreement. Emily called me on a Friday afternoon. I hadn't heard from her since the court stuff ended. But when I picked up, I could hear in her voice something had happened. "You're not going to believe what Owen did," she said. Turned out, Owen was never planning to stay with Lena long term. Surprise. The second our court hearing ended and his name came up during testimony, his own wife turned the heat on him. And hard. She filed for full custody of their kids. And her lawyer wasn't playing around. They subpoenaed everything, work records, phone data, emails, and when they dug deep enough, they found out Owen had been using company credit cards to fund his little getaway weekends with Lena. Fancy hotels, dinners, even a rental car during that lake trip. All on his employer's dime. Corporate fraud. He was fired on the spot. But here's where it gets beautiful. Without the job, Owen couldn't afford his apartment. His wife wasn't taking him back. She was already 2 steps into a new relationship with some gym teacher, and from what I hear, she's glowing like a woman who got her life back. So Owen did what pathetic men do when they're cornered. He ran, packed a bag, drained a joint account Emily hadn't locked down yet, and disappeared for a while. Left Lena hanging, no texts, no goodbye, nothing. Lena tried to play it cool online for about a week, posting selfies, motivational quotes, pretending her life was still together, but then it all unraveled. First, her landlord evicted her, couldn't cover rent without Owen helping. Then her job put her on leave after some HR complaints came in. One of her co-workers found out about the affair and filed a hostile workplace claim. Turns out mixing work and adultery isn't a great look in corporate HR. I didn't reach out. I didn't need to. I just watched from the sidelines as the empire she tried to build on lies and manipulation crumbled at her feet. And the best part, I was already building something new. I started going back to the gym, took a short solo trip to Colorado, reconnected with old friends I hadn't seen in years. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just dinners and conversations that didn't feel like a test. I was moving forward. But I'll admit the final moment of peace didn't hit until I got that one last message from Lena. It came late at night, weeks after everything went down. Just one line. I miss how safe I felt with you. I didn't reply. I just stared at it for a second, then deleted it. Because the truth is, she was never safe with me. She was protected, loved, respected, given chance after chance after chance, and she burned every single one of them. Let her miss it. I'm done. What would you have done if you were in his shoes when she flipped the story? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.